Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be discussing what I thought of that great episode of The Terror. Before I go on, of course, please be warned that this will be a spoiler-filled episode review, so if you're not caught up on The Terror by this episode or the past couple episodes, do not keep watching or listening as I will be going into giant spoilers. So, you have been warned. That being said, spoilers starting from here on out, starting now. Another great episode. We didn't see Toonbach, but that's okay because we didn't need to see him in order for this to be another great story. We got to see both groups, both camps, seeing the struggles that they're both going through. And Good Sir being forced to play as doctor for Hickey and his men, and then being forced to cut up that poor sap who Hickey murdered, and then cut him up, and then prepare him to be fed upon by Hickey's men. That was just wow, nasty. And it's like, good on you, Good Sir. But you know what? I feel like this episode was about pushing these characters to their absolute limit and seeing if it breaks or makes any of them. Now, Hickey is a sociopath, so things don't really affect him the way they do a rational person. So he's kind of cut out for this kind of situation. He not so subtly threatened Good Sir if he didn't prepare Gibson's body for dinner, that he was going to hurt him or he was going to hurt the Lieutenant Hodgson. So, and then he had no problem eating his former lover. And he seems to have no problem with trying to get the creature to attack Crozier's men instead of his group. So it doesn't surprise me that he turned out A-okay in this episode. Good Sir, I think this was a real test for him, because he's a decent guy, but, it probably demoralized him cutting up Gibson like that. But I think he knew that in order for him to survive and for Hodgson to survive, he had to do it. As much as I like Francis, the captain, I hate seeing him in such agony. I mean, he had to say goodbye to both Fitzjames and Blanky. And so we lost another major character tonight. Fitzjames finally bit the bullet, kind of fittingly considering his wound. And even though he offered himself up as food for the men, Francis wouldn't allow it because he didn't want his friend to go out that way. And then right after they're done burying Fitzjames, Blanky reveals, by the way, my severed leg is infected. I'm going to die soon. Leave me behind to hold off the Toonbach while you guys all get away. And even though it's kind of a sad moment, it's bittersweet because they both share a good laugh and a nice hug before they say farewell to each other. And Blanky in this episode goes out like a badass. Not only does he discover the Northwest Passage, the one thing that this whole expedition was about, and he marks it on a map, but he's actually amusing and in excellent, confident spirits when Toonbach does appear. We can hear it growling off screen, and we see Blanky smiling, and he turns his head and says, "What took you so fucking long?" or something like that. And they dropped an F-bomb, which was pretty cool. AMC is now allowed to do that from time to time. Well, so far we've seen it on Fear. We didn't see it on Walking Dead this season, but that could change next season. And now we've seen it on The Terror. And what a fitting end for such a badass character. Blanky was confident, smart, experienced, selfless, loyal to a fault. And you know what? Even though it was sad to see him go, it was a pretty awesome way for him to go. And at first I couldn't figure out what he could have needed all the rope for. But then when we see him all tied up with all the forks, and he used all the forks and rope to basically surround himself with it, it's to make it that much more of an unpleasant experience for Toonbach to devour him. So again, even though he can't really fight back and fight for his life, Toonbach is still going to have a hell of a time chowing down on him. But, besides Blanky's awesome end, it was kind of sad to see Fitzjames go. I didn't like seeing Francis so broken up over losing Fitzjames and Blanky. And it's like Francis was reaching his breaking point, but he was still able to maintain a grip and act as captain, even in the face of adversity when they're ambushed by the mutineers and they shoot one of his loyal men and he offers himself up so the others can go free. That's pretty courageous right there. That's pretty awesome of him. So now he's going back to Hickey's camp where he's probably going to be beaten, if not killed, or if not offered up to Tumbach, and the rest of his men are allowed to go free. But, God, this episode, it was just so good because it was all about how each and every one of these men faced these ultimate tests of survival, and some did it better than others. And this was just such a great episode, especially for Blanky, for Crozier, for Good Sir. And God, I really hope that prick Hickey dies. If Tumbach doesn't kill him, hopefully Francis gets to kill him because this asshole's got to go. But, this was an exciting episode overall. So I liked how we got to see both camps dealing with the struggle for survival differently, and how they interact with each other, and how individual characters were tested to the absolute limit in unbelievable, horrific ways, from cannibalism to self-sacrifice to losing their closest friends. It's like these guys were faced to the ultimate test, and some of them did better than others. But it didn't. It certainly made for a hell of an episode, especially that ending scene. I can't get enough of Blanky confidently smiling, turning his head and says, "What took you so fucking long?" referring to the Tumbach off screen. He's like he's ready to meet death on his feet, more or less. So yeah, great episode. I can't wait to see the season. Now, I was a little confused because I thought it was the series finale, because I thought this was just, one mini-series, but maybe this is an episodic series. Maybe they're leaving the door open for season 2. I guess we'll wait and see when we see the season finale, season/series finale airing next Monday night on AMC. You don't want to miss it. It's the final episode of the season where I believe everything will come to a head. So that'll be exciting. Well, guys, what did you think of tonight's episode of The Tear? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you grossed out? Were you expecting more, expecting less? Did you have a favorite character moment like I did with Blanky? Please feel free to leave your thoughts, opinions, and your feedback down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear from everybody. As always, you guys have been doing a phenomenal job with that lately. Thank you so, so much. Keep up the good work. I love talking to you guys about this show. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and have a great rest of the night. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.